Looking back on the semester, I feel like I grew in a lot of areas, and I also challenged myself to do things that I'm uncomfortable with and had a lot of new learning experiences. Starting with my attendance, I attended mostly every class except for using my free 2 skips, which I used when I was feeling tired and needed a break, especially because of the busy time of year with lacrosse. So that was kind of something I feel like I stayed on top of, and being present for most classes helped me to understand what was going on in the class and the expectations for the upcoming speeches, because I also noticed that the 1 or 2 times that I did miss class, especially before that persuasive speech, I wouldn't have really known to include a counter argument if it weren't for my friend in the class who told me about that, because I missed the class where you went over that. So overall, that is an example of why it is important to go to class, but obviously I feel like I did have good attendance besides the 1 or 2 skips. For participation, I feel like I was engaged even though I wasn't always the most outspoken, because even though I didn't really answer questions out loud in class, I still contributed in the small group discussions, and it felt easier over time to share like more personal examples with those people I was sitting with. And so yeah, I became more comfortable sharing my thoughts and being confident in my answers in general, even in the speeches, which I'll talk about later. But as for my weekly reflections, I was consistent with completing them on time. It definitely felt like busy work at some points, but I know that it benefited me doing them, and I did find it helpful because a lot of what was in the reading was able to be connected to our in-class discussions. And even though there might have been classes where I was tired or not like fully engaged paying attention, so by reading basically similar stuff to what we talked about in class earlier, it really like reiterated those ideas. So it did end up being helpful because it organized my thoughts, and then I was more prepared to listen and be engaged in class. One of the biggest areas of growth for me, I think, was definitely my speeches. By starting out slow and doing a shorter speech in front of a smaller group of people, it allowed me to start out small and like work towards something. So I thought that was really helpful and made things a lot easier for me. And then working up to a longer speech in front of the whole class. So each one challenged me in a different way. Because at the beginning of the semester, I was definitely more nervous, so starting out in a small group was important. And then I did struggle to present in front of a larger group, but after receiving good feedback, it gave me confidence to like do the next speech, because for me, reassurance is something that really helps me like move on to the next one, just to do it again, because if I know I was nervous the first time, I might not want to do that thing again. But by getting the reassurance and the good feedback, it helped me prepare for my next speech. And then the video speech was something that I personally really enjoyed because it took off the pressure and stress of presenting in front of people. So I was able to have fun with it and like actually enjoy the assignment. So I would definitely look forward to doing that again if I had the chance to. But overall, I feel like I accomplished a lot this semester, because one of my goals was to become a more confident speaker going into this class. And even though I might sound shaky sometimes when getting up to speak in front of people, I feel like I've still made progress from the very first time that I presented, and I became more comfortable. So even if on the outside I was nervous, like internally I was still more comfortable than I was the first time in expressing my ideas and giving my speeches. So though I do have areas to work on, I know I can do things like use less filler words or improve my eye contact and be more comfortable in different situations. I feel like I did make progress. And when it comes to part of like the class community, I do feel like I made an effort to be present and participate when I could and contribute to doing group work, but I do feel like that's still another area where I could improve, is participating out loud in front of the class, raising my hand to answer questions. So I can definitely still improve in my effort. So even though mentally, like, I feel like I gave effort, I know I could do more on the outside. So if I had to give myself a grade overall, I would give myself an A, because I did improve. So even though my improvement or my end result might not be the same as everyone else's, I still did improve, like, based on where I began. So I feel like that reflects the level of work I put in, and overall I became a better communicator, and I feel like I have better skills than I did when I first started the class.